What happens when royalty meets reality TV and a simple question turns into the most explosive talk show disaster in recent memory? In just 35 seconds, one comment would shatter the careful image of a prince and turn a friendly chat into an all-out war that ended with security dragging a royal offset. Jennifer Hudson sat across from Prince Harry in her bright studio, the audience clapping as the cameras rolled. She smiled warmly, her energy filling the room like it always did. This was supposed to be easy. A light conversation, some laughs, maybe a story or two about his kids. But from the moment Harry walked onto that stage, something felt different. "So, Prince Harry, thank you so much for being here today," Jennifer said, her voice welcoming and genuine. "I have to say, your fans are so excited to hear from you." Harry nodded, but his expression was stiff. Cold, even. He crossed his arms and leaned back in his chair like he was doing her a favor just by showing up. "Yeah, well, I'm here," he said flatly. Jennifer's smile faltered for just a second, but she recovered quickly. She was a professional. She had interviewed hundreds of people. She knew how to handle difficult guests. "I wanted to start by talking about your charity work," she continued, glancing down at her cards. "You've done so much for veterans and mental health awareness. What drives that passion for you?" Harry sighed, loudly, like the question bored him. "I mean, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? When you've served, when you've seen what I've seen, you just know. Not everyone can understand that." The audience shifted uncomfortably. Jennifer kept her composure, nodding along. "Of course, and I think people really admire that about you," she said carefully. "But I'd love to hear more about the personal side. What keeps you going on the hard days?" "Jennifer, can I be honest with you?" Harry interrupted, uncrossing his arms and leaning forward. His tone had changed. There was an edge to it now. "These questions are a bit surface level, don't you think? I didn't come here to talk about the same tired topics everyone else asks me about." Jennifer blinked, surprised. The audience went silent. You could hear the cameras still rolling, capturing every second. "Oh, I apologize," Jennifer said, her voice measured and calm. "What would you like to talk about then? I'm happy to go wherever you'd like to take this conversation." "Well, maybe something real," Harry said, see his voice dripping with condescension. "Maybe something that actually matters instead of these softball questions your producers probably wrote for you?" A few gasps rippled through the audience. Jennifer's face remained kind, but her eyes had changed. She wasn't smiling anymore. "I hear you," she said slowly, "but I think the work you do is real, and I think people genuinely want to know about it. That's why we invited you here." Harry laughed, but it wasn't a friendly laugh. It was sharp, mean. "Right. You invited me here. Do you know how many shows want me? How many people are lining up to have me on their little programs?" He gestured around the studio dismissively. "I chose to come here, Jennifer. I could have been anywhere else." The studio went ice cold. Jennifer sat up straighter, and for the first time, you could see her patience starting to wear thin. "I appreciate you choosing to be here," she said, her voice firm now. "And I think my audience appreciates it too. But let me be clear, this is my show. We invited you because we respect you, and we thought our viewers would enjoy hearing from you. If that's not something you're interested in, we can certainly wrap this up." Harry's face twisted into something ugly. He wasn't used to being challenged. He wasn't used to anyone talking back to him. "Wrap it up? Seriously? Do you know who I am?" His voice was rising now, his face reddening. "I'm royalty. I've given up everything. My family, my country. And you're sitting here acting like you're doing me some kind of favor?" Jennifer didn't flinch. She kept her eyes locked on his, her expression calm but unwavering. "I know exactly who you are," she said evenly. "But in this studio, we treat everyone with respect, and that includes me. I've been nothing but kind to you since you walked through that door, and I'd appreciate the same courtesy." "Courtesy?" Harry spat the word out like it tasted bad. You want to talk about courtesy? Let me tell you something about courtesy, Jennifer. Courtesy is when someone of my status agrees to come on your show, and you actually prepare properly. You do your research. You ask questions that matter. I did my research, Jennifer replied, her voice still controlled, but getting stronger. I asked about your charity work, which you claim to care so much about. But it seems like you just want to complain. Complain? Harry stood up now, his voice echoing through the studio. The audience gasped again, louder this time. You think I'm complaining? I've been through more than you could ever imagine. I've sacrificed more than you'll ever know. And I'm not going to sit here and be disrespected by someone who doesn't understand what I've been through. Jennifer stood up too, matching his energy. Her face was serious now, all business. Sit down, Harry, she said firmly. You're making a scene. I'll make whatever scene I want, he shot back. This is ridiculous. You're ridiculous. This whole show is beneath me. I don't know why I even bothered coming here. Then leave, Jennifer said simply. Her voice was quiet, but it cut through the tension like a knife. If you feel that way, then leave. Nobody's forcing you to be here. Harry's mouth dropped open. He clearly hadn't expected that response. He looked around the studio, at the audience staring at him with wide eyes, at the cameras still recording everything. Excuse me, he said, his voice dangerous and low. You heard me, Jennifer said, not backing down an inch. You came onto my show, my house, and you've done nothing but insult me, insult my team, and insult everyone who works hard to make this program happen every single day. If you don't want to be here, the door is right there. You can't kick me off, Harry said, his voice rising again. Do you know what kind of press nightmare this will be for you? Do you know who you're messing with? Jennifer crossed her arms, standing her ground. I'm not messing with anyone, she said calmly. I'm setting a boundary. You don't get to come into my space and treat people like garbage just because you think your title gives you that right. Or it doesn't. Harry's face was bright red now. His hands were shaking. He pointed at Jennifer, his finger jabbing the air between them. You're making a huge mistake, he said through gritted teeth. You have no idea what you're doing. I could destroy this show. I could destroy you. The audience erupted. Some people were yelling for him to leave. Others were just sitting in shocked silence. Jennifer didn't move. She stood there, tall and composed, staring him down. Is that a threat? She asked, her eyebrows raised. It's a promise, Harry snapped back. Nobody talks to me like this. Nobody. Well, I just did, Jennifer said simply, and I'll do it again if I have to. You want to destroy me? Go ahead and try. But right now, you need to leave my stage. Harry looked around wildly, like he was searching for someone to back him up. But the crew members were all standing still, watching the disaster unfold. The audience was silent now, waiting to see what would happen next. This is insane, Harry muttered, running his hands through his hair. This is absolutely insane. You're going to regret this, Jennifer. You're going to wake up tomorrow and realize what a massive mistake you just made. The only mistake I made was thinking you'd be a gracious guest, Jennifer replied coolly. Now, are you going to walk off on your own, or do I need to have security help you out? That did it. That was the breaking point. Harry's eyes went wide with fury. Security? You're going to call security on me? On a prince? I'm going to call security on a guest who's being hostile and refusing to leave when asked, Jennifer corrected him. Your title doesn't mean anything in here. Not when you're acting like this. Harry took a step toward her, his face twisted with rage. You don't know who you're dealing with. I've been dealing with the media my entire life. I've been hunted, chased, lied about, and I'm not going to stand here and let some talk, show host, act like she's better than me. Jennifer didn't move back. She stood her ground, looking him straight in the eye. I never said I was better than you, she said quietly. "But I do know how to treat people with respect, and I expect the same in return. That's all this ever was, Harry. Just basic respect. And you couldn't even give me that." Harry's hands balled into fists at his sides. He was breathing hard, his chest heaving. For a moment, it looked like he might actually do something physical. The audience held its breath. Then Jennifer raised her hand and signaled to someone off camera. "Can we get security in here, please?" That was it. That was the final straw. Harry exploded. "You're calling security? Right now? In the middle of this?" His voice was so loud now that the microphones barely picked it up without distorting. "This is unbelievable. This is absolutely unbelievable. Do you know what the headlines are going to say? Do you know how this is going to look?" "I know exactly how it's going to look," Jennifer said, her voice steady as a rock. "It's going to look like I stood up for myself and my team, and I'm fine with that." Two security guards appeared from the wings. They were big guys, professional and calm. They approached Harry slowly, their hands up in a non-threatening gesture. "Sir, now we're going to need you to come with us," one of them said gently. Harry whipped around to face them, his eyes wild. "Don't touch me. Don't you dare touch me." "Nobody's touching you, sir," the guard said patiently. "We're just going to escort you off the premises. Please come with us." "I'll leave when I'm ready to leave," Harry shouted, backing away from them. "You can't make me do anything." Jennifer spoke up from behind him, her voice cutting through his rant. "Harry, it's over. You need to go. Now." He spun back around to face her, and for a second, his expression changed. It wasn't anger anymore. It was something else. Maybe embarrassment. Maybe regret. But it only lasted a moment before the rage came flooding back. "You're going to pay for this," he said, his voice low and venomous. "I promise you that. You're going to pay for humiliating me like this." "The only person who humiliated you is you," Jennifer said softly. "You did this to yourself." Harry opened his mouth to respond, but one of the security guards gently took his arm. "Sir, please," the guard said. "Let's not make this harder than it needs to be." For a long moment, Harry just stood there, staring at Jennifer with pure hatred in his eyes. The studio was dead silent. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then, finally, he shook the guard's hand off his arm and straightened his jacket. "Fine," he said coldly. "I'll leave, but this isn't over, Jennifer. Not by a long shot." "Yes, it is," she replied simply. "Goodbye, Harry." He turned on his heel and started walking toward the exit, the two security guards flanking him on either side. The audience watched in stunned silence as he made his way across the stage. His footsteps echoed in the quiet studio. Just before he reached the wings, he stopped and turned back one last time. "You just made the biggest mistake of your career," he called out, his voice echoing through the space. Jennifer didn't respond. She just stood there, calm and composed, watching him go. Harry stared at her for another few seconds, like he was waiting for her to crack, to apologize, to beg him to stay. But she didn't. She just looked at him with that same steady, unwavering expression. Finally, with a disgusted shake of his head, he disappeared into the wings. The security guards followed close behind. The moment he was gone, the studio erupted. The audience started talking all at once, their voices rising in a cacophony of shock and disbelief. Some people were standing. Some were pointing at the empty stage. Everyone was trying to process what they had just witnessed. Jennifer stood there for a moment, letting out a long, slow breath. Then she turned to face the audience and gave them a small, tired smile. "Well," she said, her voice loud enough to cut through the noise, "that was something." The audience laughed, a release of all the tension that had been building. Some people started clapping. Then more joined in. Within seconds, the entire studio was on its feet, giving Jennifer a standing ovation. She held up her hands, trying to quiet them down, but they kept clapping, kept cheering. They weren't just applauding because of what happened. They were applauding her, for standing her ground, for not backing down, for treating a prince like any other guest who crossed the line. Jennifer's smile grew wider. She put her hand over her heart, clearly moved by the response. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you so much. That means more to me than you know." The applause continued for another few seconds before finally starting to die down. Jennifer walked back to her chair and sat down, smoothing her outfit and taking a moment to collect herself. "You know," she said, looking into the camera, "we've had a lot of interesting guests on this show. Some wonderful conversations, some difficult moments. But I want to make something very clear. This show, this space, is built on respect. Respect for our guests, respect for our crew, and respect for all of you watching at home. And that's never going to change, no matter who walks through that door." The audience erupted in applause again. Louder this time. Jennifer nodded, her expression serious but warm. "We don't care about titles. We don't care about status. We care about treating people right. And we expect to be treated right in return. That's it. That's the standard. And we're not going to lower it for anyone." More applause. More cheers. Jennifer let it wash over her for a moment before continuing. "Now," she said with a small laugh, "I know we had a whole show planned. We had segments ready to go. But honestly, after that, I think we all need a minute to breathe." The audience laughed with her, the mood in the studio shifting from tense to something almost celebratory. "So, here's what we're going to do," Jennifer continued. "We're going to take a quick break. Let everyone calm down. And then we're going to come back and finish this show the right way. With good energy, good conversations, and good vibes. Because that's what we do here. We don't let negativity win. We rise above it." Another round of applause. Jennifer stood up and waved to the audience as the cameras cut away. Backstage, the atmosphere was electric. Crew members were huddled together, replaying what they had just seen. Producers were on their phones, already dealing with the fallout. Everyone was talking at once, their voices overlapping in a chaotic buzz of excitement and disbelief. Jennifer walked into the green room and immediately collapsed onto the couch. Her assistant rushed over with a bottle of water. "Are you okay?" the assistant asked, her eyes wide with concern. Jennifer took a long drink of water and then nodded. "I'm fine, really. I can't believe that actually happened." "You were amazing out there," the assistant said. "Seriously, the way you handled that, I've never seen anything like it." "I didn't have a choice," Jennifer said quietly. "He was being awful. To me, to everyone. I wasn't going to just sit there and take it." "You shouldn't have to," the assistant agreed. "Nobody should." A producer poked her head into the room. "Jen, we need to talk about how we're handling this. The phones are already ringing off the hook. Social media is going crazy." Jennifer closed her eyes and took a deep breath. I know it's going to be a whole thing, but I stand by what I did. He was out of line." "We all stand by you," the producer said firmly. "Every single person on this team. You did the right thing." Jennifer opened her eyes and smiled. "Thank you. And that means everything to me." "We've got your back," the producer said. "Always. Now, are you ready to finish this show?" Jennifer stood up, squaring her shoulders. "Absolutely. Let's do this." Back on the main stage, the audience was still buzzing. People were leaning over their seats, talking to the people around them, sharing their thoughts on what they had just witnessed. The energy in the room was unlike anything the show had experienced before. When Jennifer walked back out, the applause started immediately. She waved and smiled, taking her seat once again. All right, she said, gesturing for everyone to settle down. "Thank you. Seriously, thank you. But let's move forward, okay? We've got a great show ahead of us, and I don't want to spend the whole time talking about what just happened." The audience quieted down. though you could still feel the electricity in the air. Our next guest, Jennifer continued, reading from her cards, is someone I've been wanting to talk to for a long time. An incredible artist, an amazing human being, and someone who actually knows how to have a conversation without throwing a tantrum. The audience laughed and cheered, the mood lifting even more. So please, help me welcome them to the stage, Jennifer said, standing up with a genuine smile on her face. As the next guest walked out and the show continued, you could still feel the ghost of what had happened hanging in the air. The cameras had captured every second of the confrontation. The audience had witnessed it firsthand. And somewhere, Prince Harry was probably realizing that he had just made a huge mistake. But in that studio, in that moment, Jennifer Hudson proved something important. She proved that respect isn't about titles or status. It's about how you treat people. And she proved that no matter who you are, you don't get to walk into someone's house and disrespect them without consequences. The show went on. The audience stayed engaged. And Jennifer handled the rest of the taping with the same grace and professionalism she had shown throughout the entire ordeal. When it was all over, and the cameras finally stopped rolling, Jennifer stood on the empty stage for a moment, looking out at the seats where the audience had been. Her team gathered around her, offering hugs and words of support. "You know what?" she said to no one in particular. "I'm proud of us. I'm proud of how we handled that. We could have backed down. We could have let him say whatever he wanted. But we didn't. We stood our ground." Her producer nodded. "You set a standard today, Jen. Not just for this show, but for everyone. You showed people that it's okay to defend yourself. That it's okay to say no." Jennifer smiled, a real smile this time. Tired, but genuine. "Good, because that's exactly what I wanted to do." As the lights in the studio slowly dimmed and the crew started packing up equipment, the reality of what had happened began to sink in. This wasn't just another episode. This wasn't just another interview gone wrong. This was a moment that would be talked about for years to come. A moment where someone refused to be bullied, refused to be intimidated, refused to compromise their values just because someone thought they were too important to be challenged. Jennifer Hudson had faced down a prince and won. Not because she was cruel, not because she wanted drama, but because she knew her worth and she refused to let anyone treat her as less than she deserved. The show would air. The clips would go viral. The think pieces would be written. But none of that mattered as much as the simple fact that she had stood up for herself and her team. And in a world where people with power often get away with treating others badly, that was a victory worth celebrating.